I never would have thought that. Bardock was a better dad than Goku. Thank you to our $5 patrons, Sinus Lancelot, Art Goon, and Praise the Sun. And a big thank you to our $25 patron, the Mr. Greed. Now, before we hop into this breakdown/review of Chapter 83 of Dragon Ball Super, please, if you ever leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Any support would be appreciated. Now, let's get into last month's poll. So last month I ended up asking you all a very simple question. I want to know your rating for the chapter, whether it be 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 to 8, or 9 to 10. And then, with an overwhelming 48% of the vote, 9 to 10 obviously took that dub by a long shot, with the closest follow-up being 7 to 8 at 24%, 5 to 6 at 19%, the lowest being 3 to 4 at 3%, and then 5% for 1 to 2. So the ratings, I mean, I'd say they were kind of all over the place. Like, every single one got a decent amount of votes out of 93 votes. However, obviously there's a heavy weight towards 9 to 10. And notably, I was pretty critical of last month's chapter, and I think I'll be nicer this time. But overall, I don't know. I'm happy that other people are seeing the arc like this, and I'm glad that people are getting a really high amount of enjoyment out of it. That's one of my favorite things about doing these polls, getting the views of the community, because I know my views are weird. They always have been, and they always will be. So it's always good to hear your guys' thoughts. So make sure you get your thoughts in on tomorrow's poll, dropping at 12 p.m. It would make sure you get your opinion out there and noted for next review. Now, let's get into Chapter 83. What's up, guys? I Love Hunter, and here we are to Chapter 83 of Dragon Ball Super, which is known as Bardock vs. Gas, Part 2. And now that I think about it, that has been, I'm not sure if that's a lazy thing or if it's just like, I mean, this arc, really ironically enough, despite how bad the power scaling is, it is all about battles. So it makes sense that we've had Goku versus Gas, Goku versus Granola, Vegeta versus Granola, Granola versus Gas, Gas versus Goku, Goku versus Gas. But like, we've just had, like, I don't think there's been a unique chapter title. It's just always been a battle name. But this whole arc is essentially based around fights, so I'm not necessarily too shocked about that. However, let's hop into the chapter itself. So we open up, we get to see that Gas, I mean, he's playing around, but he ain't playing around, because he brought out the mace, right? And notably, this chapter, it has me wondering about a few things. Fun fact, I do live reactions over on Patreon, so like, if you want to get my real, true, honest thoughts on the chapter, like the moment I read it, go check those out. You can see them for as low as $1 a month, and they greatly, every single little bit of support helps. But I know my thoughts are a little bit different, mainly because I like waited and thought over my initial reactions before getting into this chapter. But speaking of getting into this chapter, we see that with Gas having the mace out, Monahito's like, yo, let me level with you real quick, dog. Thank you. Honestly, you've done so much. I appreciate you, but you're also a Saiyan, homeboy. This is not your battle. You do not need to be here. You can get up out of here if need be. And notably, Bardock is like, thanks for the recommendation. Thanks for the suggestion. I'll put it into consideration, but no. And he essentially declares that he's going to stay here. And notably, we get into like my first biggest confliction. Notably, thank Moscow X. Like I say that essentially every time a Dragon Ball Super chapter drops. I'm like, you know what? I'm here with Moscow has to say. I like to get other ideas before I record my reviews, just because like they temper mine. They let me think on mine, because it's hard for me to flip thoughts. But one of the issues I had with my initial reading of the chapter was just the idea that Bardock's intuition didn't come from all the information he knew about Frieza in the past and his simple knowledge that the Emperor is not one to be trusted, and he made a healthy assumption that ended up saving his son's life. But no, he was told by this random blue person that Vegeta, the planet this time, was going to be destroyed by Frieza. And notably, I don't like that at all. I very much prefer Bardock just having that intuition. It's like, I know a lot of people, one of the criticisms for that is like, well, it feels like it comes out of nowhere. But every single Saiyan knew Frieza. And not in the sense like they knew the man personally, but they knew he was not one to be trusted. Obviously, he enslaved their people. So it's not too shocking, it's not too wild that Bardock would assume that, oh, the whole planet's going to be destroyed. And while I'll admit the future vision initially, in mine is I'm actually fine with him just guessing, because it does seem pretty strange that Frieza out of nowhere is calling all the Saiyans back, and he happens to be like it's a strange situation. So I very much prefer that Bardock, just due to his experience and his own past with wiping planets and doing all that stuff, came up with it on his own. However, this chapter recontextualizes it as he just got told, and not necessarily he got told. It's technically still an illusion, because even Gas doesn't clearly say that. But then again, he very clearly states the Saiyans are not going to last much longer anyway. And when Bardock asks what's that supposed to mean, Gas is like, I don't know, whatever. It's just something Malek told me. But that's obviously, it's just signaling for why Bardock had that premonition. And I don't know. It's something that I'm not the biggest fan of. I know other people like it, but for me, it's like, it's unnecessary. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what do we gain from adding this to the whole chapter? Like, the more time we spend with Bardock, the more things we get explained. And I think Bardock is one of those characters that worked best the less we knew about him, because this chapter just goes to prove more and more that what was originally just a design copy of Goku with his own unique personality, thoughts, and morals, it's just Goku again. But we'll get into that. So we see that Bardock very proudly declares that, no, it's the Heeters that have no future, not the Saiyans, and he proceeds to throw a blast that absolutely whiffs. And then, I will admit, in this chapter, I think specifically, Toyotaro, he really kicked up the game. Like, in terms of simply putting out quality content, no, I'm kidding, but in terms of putting out like great action choreography, I really do like it. I love how when Bardock throws it, Gas leaps, dodges, spins with the mace, and then slams it down on Bardock's arms. And Bardock blocks, but obviously it's a mace, so blocking a mace with your arms isn't the best thing to do, Bardock. And he screams in agony, and I love it. I don't know. One of my favorite things about the manga relative to the anime is that it still has that like very old Toriyama flavor, where they don't really care about showing some blood here and there. You know, they be letting it rock. So to see Bardock suffer this much damage and react angrily, it's really, really cool. And I do like that. However, we get to see that Bardock essentially tells Monaito, after he throws Gas away somehow, that this is his fight now. So he wants them to leave. And ironically enough, I don't know, maybe it's just a wording thing. I'm not sure if it's different, but I love it's weird how he says, okay, it's my fight now. You guys have to run, or no, you two are in the way, so get out of here. He tells them to leave, and then he flies off to another location. I don't know. I just found that ironic. But then he's back in the combat with Gas. And notably, Gas is very clearly noting that Bardock is fodder. And notably, this is base baby Gas. Like, the dude's at most 10, and he's still manhandling Bardock with no difficulty. And this begins like my ever running power, my power growth issue with the Saiyans, right? Because what made Goku Black cool in my mind is that because he was a baby Saiyan, essentially in spirit and soul, he got those insane Zenkai boosts. He grew at an exponential rate just because of all the special circumstances he had. But now we're sort of running into the Incredibles issue, where if everyone's super DragonBallZ Super, no one will be. Like, if base Gas is already like bullying Bardock to the point where he can't even really do any damage to him. Notably, Gas doesn't take any damage. His clothes don't take any damage. Gas has to get his own gains out in order to damage himself and damage his clothes. Bardock's not doing anything while he's extremely weak and still has his tail. But then Bardock suddenly gets electrocuted by Gas's transformation, and is anyone else find this weird? Like, I thought Gas just couldn't. Like, last chapter I pointed out how it was weird that Gas didn't have his like teeth things and somehow was still in control. But apparently he can back in the past he could somewhat transform and maintain control. And notably, it doesn't even look like a somewhat transformation. I mean, I guess the horns are just a little tiny bit shorter than his face. But the fact that he has full access to this form and seeming a decent amount of control over it makes me wonder what the point of hiding the form in the first place was. Like, if you can use it this freely when you're younger and less experienced, literally 40 to nearly 50 years less experience, Wow. How come you weren't able to use it in the future? I don't know. I think Toriyama just wanted to, not Toriyama, well, Toriyama and Toyotar just wanted to include this form because they like it and they thought it would look cool, but they obviously can't do it because they renamed it so quickly in the main timeline. I don't know. Speaking of the main timeline, did you know in this timeline the like button is free? Also the subscribe button. I would really appreciate if you hit that. Helps me out a lot. However, regardless of that, Gas powers up a bit. And Gas. I mean, I guess he says, I cannot afford to waste more time on you. You wouldn't mind if I unleash a bit of my inner nature, would you? But Gas, you were already body bagging this man without that. So why don't you just finish the job? I don't know. Like, the fact that he amps himself to an unknown degree, admittedly, we don't have a multiplier for this one. You don't know if he's gotten 50 times stronger or something like that. But I don't know. I feel like pulling out that form, especially considering how risky it was established to be in the future, kind of weird. But then we cut back over to Manaito, who goes and gets his little. I can't say that. I can't. Can I say that? I'm not gonna risk saying it. He grabs the DragonBallZ, or the balls of the dragon, if you will, and then he proceeds to say that, well, using the DragonBallZ for myself may be forbidden, but it should be all right if it helps someone from another planet. And I wonder if that's just a Namekian culture thing, or actually. Nah, it can't be actually, because they use it. But maybe that feeds into something that was strange for me about the chapter a little bit later. So we cut back to Bardock, and he gets the taste knocked out of his mouth, and along with the taste, the scouter knocked off his face. But he picks it back up, clicks it back on, and he's just amazed. Well, not necessarily amazed, annoyed, but amazed that Gas can just keep powering up, and he can adjust their power level. And that's an interesting way to put it, right? Because I guess this doesn't fall under the full transformation category, I suppose, in Bardock's mind. The full transformations that he may know of is just the grade 8 form, which is a massive difference compared to some horns popping out just the side of your head. And also no one knew about Frieza's transformations, except for a rare few. And I'm not sure if Bardock was part of that rare few. And who knows, I doubt many people knew about Zarbon's either. So I guess adjusting the power level would be something that is noted here. I honestly wonder what their power levels are at this point. I know it's long since irrelevant, but I don't know. I'm intrigued. Then we get to see that Bardock, or at least Gas, accuses Bardock of losing the will to fight. But, and once again, I mean, Bardock, notably, it may just be a me thing, but Bardock never seemed to be the person. This is a Goku thing to say. You wish. Nothing gets my blood pumping like a powerful foe. I know it's a general Saiyan thing, but I guess it just feels even more Goku than it did before. I don't know. I feel very mixed on what Toyotar and Toriyama are doing with Bardock, because it's obvious they're literally just making him Goku before Goku. And I feel like that wasn't Bardock's original purpose. You know how Turles was supposed to be the original evil Goku before Goku Black? I always figured Bardock was what a Saiyan Goku would be. A bit more ruthless, a bit more logical, a bit more conniving. The Saiyans were far from fair fighters. They weren't, and they were not, most Saiyans did not happily accept beatdowns. They got Zenkai boosts, but none of them enjoyed it. And meanwhile, Bardock here is saying something that Goku would say, blood, pumping, full, mighty. I don't know. Notably, we don't see much of him in Minus. I don't even think we see him on a mission in Minus. And in the original, he's annoyed that the Kanassans took so long to defeat. They actually had to get the full moon out. I don't know. It feels. It's not. The thing is, because of Minus retconning Bardock, there really is no Bardock to go off of. If this is this is essentially an entirely new character with mostly the same design and the same face. And I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Maybe I'm just too tied into the original conception of Bardock. I very much prefer someone who just wasn't Goku pre-Goku, because now it makes you question what makes Goku special at this point. What seemed to make Goku special was his disregard for his own life, was that interest in battle, was that a lack of connivingness and self-control and self-preservation instinct. But even Bardock seems to have that here for some reason. And once again, somehow, despite being amped, Gas seems to be doing less and less damage to Bardock. Like, Bardock is able to take a punch to a stomach, or a kick to the stomach from an amped Gas, get sledgehammered through the dome into the side of a mountain, and he just keeps moving. I know, Saiyans grow stronger as they fight, but Gas literally underwent a whole transformation. This is kind of weird. But of course, we get to see Torumbo or Toranbo. I always thought it was Torumbo, but I think I may be conflating that with something else. Because I think even when he first appeared by Mind Wind, hey, I've heard that name somewhere before, but I can't remember where. But I really do like the axolotl design, especially on a Shenron-esque dragon. I really, really like it. It's a lot. It's like ominous, but in the mystical kind of way. Like, I'm not necessarily, I mean, I'm a little bit, if I saw Toranbo, like, in my general direction, I probably would be terrified. But just on panel, it looks very, very cool, the different spines. It's very fish-like, and obviously, it's an axolotl. But still, I appreciate that. However, we see that Manaito summoned him, and was like, hey, yo, let me run it by you real quick. Send Bardock back home. And we see in the middle of a fight, as Bardock is once again getting his behind whooped and kicked around, once again, yeah, he's doing better as he's taking more damage. I don't know. I guess that's just the super thing, though. Because, like, but again, I don't even like it in the Tournament of Power. I haven't actually done an in-depth Tournament of Power review, but I'm actually not the biggest fan of the fact that despite getting bullied and damaged and beaten the life out of numerous times over, that Goku and Vegeta just progressively get stronger and stronger and stronger with no healing. So I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of it. But we see that Bardock, he still is holding up, but then a voice comes in his head. And it goes, hear me. I'm not sure what would be a dragon's voice. I'll put a filter on it. Maybe that'll work. But he says, hear me, Bardock. It is Manaito's wish that I should return you to your home planet, Vegeta. And then we see Bardock obviously being confused because you obviously don't get too many voices in your head unless you're a little bit kooky. So you see Bardock, I mean, you have your inside voice, but you see Bardock being like, whose voice is this? And Gas is obviously a bit confused because he's in the middle of kicking the taste out of Bardock's mouth, and Bardock is suddenly yelling about strange voices. Obviously, he may be thinking, oh, I may have knocked a few screws loose. But then we get to see that Torumbo just essentially answers him like, oh, I am the wish-granting dragon known as Toranbo. And, I don't know. I guess that makes sense, though. Like, we never actually were on the receiving end of any of these, like, move wishes. Like, any time someone was teleported. But it makes me wonder, right? When Porunga teleported all the remaining Namekians off Namek, was it, like, did he, one by one, go out and ask... Because he specifically says, hear me, Bardock. He doesn't say, hear me, recipient. So, like, did he go around and say, hear me, Namekian number 3,487? I know there weren't that many Namekians. But still, hear me, Namekian of whatever number ever. Would you like to leave? Like, is there actually a yes or no process here? I don't know. It's pretty interesting. And notably, we don't get to see Torumbo insinuating any cost. So maybe the whole, like, you can only grant wishes that are unselfish, or, like, they should only be used for non-selfish wishes, applies to just those kind of wishes. Like, those wishes that are selfish have to have, like, a trade-off, while any unselfish wishes come for free. Because we see that Torumbo doesn't really ask Manaito for anything. He just comes back to Manaito and is like, well, he said no. And I guess Bardock declares that Saiyan would rather die than run from an enemy. So, I mean, he's kind of right. So I'll let it rock. But we see that Bardock gets the punch in on Gas. And who knows, maybe Gas is just bluffing here, but he once again says, your attacks barely tickle, like I said. And yet somehow Bardock is still surviving all these hits. But then we get Manaito up in his dome piece, and Manaito's like, yo, you a real one, homeboy. I respect your hustle, your grind, and your dedication. However, you should live to grind another day. Please get up out of here. I greatly appreciate your kindness, but I do not want you to die here. But then we get to see that Bardock, apparently, he doesn't take orders from anyone. Dude, you're a literal soldier. You came to this planet on orders. Bardock, I get what you were going for. It was supposed to be a bar, Doc. But still, come on now, buddy. Think a little bit. Use that big old dome of yours. It can't be all empty space up behind that hair. But, of course, we see that Bardock essentially declares he's not leaving this place until he defeats Gas. And notably, he just declares that, and thusly, Magneto like, fine, whatever. What can I do for you? Like, if I can't grant that wish, the dragon's already here, and he ain't gonna go away. He ain't gonna spread his balls without a wish being made on him. Things I thought I'd never said in my life. But the Bardock then declares, like, whatever. Sure, I wish my sons end up thriving. So let me level with me real quick, right? This was the other major part there are three major things that annoy me in this chapter. We already hit the first one very early on. The fact that Bardock apparently just got told that Planet Vegeta was going to be got up out of here, and Frieza had something to do with it. And then we have the second part right here. The fact that it's implied now via this wish that the only reason Goku managed to survive Planet Vegeta's destruction in the first place, and the only reason that Goku is as amazing and legendary and as cool as he is because of a matched dragon. Like, why? The question is, once again, as always, what does this add? What does that do? I don't know. It kind of, at least in my mind, it devalues Goku's narrative. Like, the narrative that he just was a dude that got there through hard work and luck, admittedly, it just gets now it sounds like Goku's fate was literally destined because it got wished on by a magic dragon. The reason Goku managed to survive and succeed and thrive and make all the cool friends, it's because his dad wished he was thriving 40 years ago. I don't know, to me, it just doesn't do it for me. And look at Raditz, he's dead. So much for thriving there. I mean, he thrived a little bit after the destruction of Planet Vegeta, but still, I don't really know. This isn't, once again, not necessarily my cup of tea, just because I don't see how it adds anything. It just annoys me. Like, speaking of, I can't even make a transition. Like button's free. Also the subscribe button. It would really help me out if you hit one of those, or actually hit both of those. It'd be greatly appreciated. However, not gonna lie, it's like, nah, that's it. It just I don't see what it adds, so I don't know why one would do it. Like, if I'm not even sure if this idea came from Toriyama or Toyotaro, but if I'm Toriyama and Toyotaro comes up to me and is like, hey, why don't we make it so that Goku only, well, maybe, but like, that's the thing, I can't even see a way you would spin this, or see another interpretation for this. He's really like, hey, why don't we make it that all of Goku's success and luck came from the wish on a magic dragon that he didn't know about from 45 years ago. Like, if you're Toriyama, why do you accept that? I get it if Toriyama brought that to Toyotaro for some reason, but even then, like, once again, it's sort of like, people are already comparing Goku's origin to Superman. That's why they fight all the time. But like, this is even more like the story of Superman. Goku, due to the wish on the magic dragon, was always destined to get to Earth, destined to have these adventures, destined to be the greatest. Like, I don't know. I just don't see the point. I really don't. However, we get to see that the rest of the Heeters are like, well, Gaz, he's taken outside. What's going on here? And they notice the glow of Trombo leaving, but they obviously don't know what it is. And obviously the two DragonBallZ scatter, and that's it. They leave it with that. And then we see that Alec essentially decides to go investigate while he sends Maki and Oil off to go meet with Frieza's ship so they can go over the sail of the planet. And we see that Manito's like, well, selfish wishes only lead to destruction. I was about to make a grave mistake. But that's a weird line, once again. It's the same thing as the, get out of here, you're in my way, and then you fly off to another area. Manito's like, selfish wishes can only bring about doom, and I was about to make a grave mistake. Like, wasn't he just going to wish for Bardock to go home? What was selfish about that? He didn't want Bardock in a situation where he's clearly being abused. Like, he didn't want Bardock to die. I don't necessarily see how that's selfish, but, I'm not Trombo, nor my Manaito, so let me just shut my behind up. Of course, we get to see that Gas. He's still throwing blasts. He's doing his thing. He's doing his thangy thing. And, obviously, Bardock, somehow, I don't know, he somehow eats it. Like, he just survives all of it. And now Gas is tired out of it. And then we get to see that, admittedly, in a very, I want to say Broly-esque, but no one had the tail in Broly. But essentially, Gas grabs Bardock by the tail and just starts swinging him back and forth, slamming. And then he drop kicks. He doesn't drop kick, but he kicks Bardock straight into a cliffside. And then we see that Bardock's tail came off. That means no more Great Ape. And that leaves a dividing question between the two. Gas is like, I bet. So I did all I've done. Be prepared to die. And as he launches the spear, Monahito comes in, takes the hit through the arm, and is like, well, I want to be brave, but this hurts. Like, oh no, I feel like Monahito isn't your most combative fighter, so the fact that he just, like, he ate that too. He ate that. I'm literally shocked his body even survived that, not gonna lie. However, we get to see in a fit of rage, Gas has decided to go full power, unleash his entire nature, and that has led to some slobber knocking of both Monahito and Bardock. And notably, we see that Monahito was slammed into the wall, but then Gas is like, oh, don't worry about the wall, worry about me. And he proceeds to pick Bardock up by the throat, and he asked, yo, what are you even doing all this for? Why are you risking your life for people you don't know? And Bardock's like, well, I just like fighting. Hi, I'm Son Bardock. I just like to fight. I don't care any of the repercussions. And then he proceeds to make a bright flash of ki, lunge in, punch Gas. And once again, he is somehow, even though what he should be is extremely battle damaged, tailless, and missing 2 of his shins. Like, all of this. And yet somehow he's still blocking and kicking a full power Gas away. It's kind of nutty if you ask me. Like, I don't know. I'm not the craziest individual out there, but I feel like it's kind of weird how Bardock can somehow keep up. I don't know. And I know, pencil. Welcome to Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Cho. Scaling doesn't make sense, and I know, but it's still, like, this is same chapter kind of mess-ups. Like, not 3 pages ago, or not 15 pages ago, Bardock was getting pieced up by base Gas. So now you're telling me an extremely fatigued Bardock can do better? Okay. Well, it'll be hard to believe, and I barely do, but okay. But then we get to see that when Gas asks all the reasons why someone would keep fighting, Bardock is like, nope. Actually, that's pretty lame. Nope. Oh, but I do indeed have something or another, and that's called Saiyan Spirit. Because, and like, notably, I'm not sure if this is just Bardock's aura, but it's very weird to see, right? Like, somehow through willpower and mid-battle Zenkais, I guess, he gets this super aura, his hair spikes up a little bit, and his hair rises up, he blasts, then he sends a sucker punch to Gas's stomach, and proceeds to one-shot him, or nearly one-shot him. And then he bullies Gas a little bit more, slams him to the ground, and then hits him with the Spligaki, defeating Gas. So Bardock just pulled a Goku. All he did to beat Gas was exactly what Goku would do. He just got angry and said, I want to keep fighting, and then he hit accept, and bada bing, bada boom, the match is won. But I don't know, like, Bardock, where's this energy against Frieza, my boy? But regardless, man. That's the thing, I'm sitting here, like, trying to comprehend it, but it just feels weird. And then, of course, Bardock is out of energy, but then Elec pulls up, gives him the Spligaki. Elec tells him that, hey, yo, even though I hit you with the Spligaki, ability that sometimes we're done. And also, I get all the money. And then, finally, we see that the broken scouter is lying there. And all is over. So, I don't know. It was a, I don't want to call the chapter mid, but it was kind of mid. I'm not going to lie. Like, gameplay-wise, why did I say gameplay-wise? Like, it's like I'm playing fighters. I don't know why I said gameplay-wise. But gameplay-wise, I said it again. Choreography-wise, the chapter is great. And overall, I would love to play this as a game. But the story, what it's doing to Bardock's character, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of any of that. However, those are my thoughts. Please tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that little notification will see miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Heeter down below where you support for as low as $1 a month. Any support would be appreciated. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dad with a Pencil, writing off.